up on cot, something called cot. They chewed this stuff. Well, the Moros did the same thing. And they found that the stopping power of the revolvers that they had was not enough. So they started testing different weapons. Okay? Now obviously they didn't have model 1911s in 1908, but they did have guns that they were trying out. He returns from the Philippines and shoots a guy with 8 shots from a magazine pistol. So it could have been the predecessor of this weapon or another one, but I just thought that's pretty interesting. So I put that up there, just fill time because I don't have anything else to say. But because this is
Terry, that must have been one messed up corpse, because we're talking a serious slug here.
Yeah, if it was.
I mean, he was angry at that.
I mean, it could have been. Oh, yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He was. Actually, what he did.
CSI. Yeah.
There's a big crowd there. You see, there's a big crowd, and they're all waiting. This is the biggest day. It's the day of the regatta at the yacht club. It's the biggest day of the year, and they're waiting for him to come in. And his wife was there, and his 2 children, and TJ holds everybody back, and Junior comes up towards the boat, and he sees Annis, he ducks down underneath another guy and shoots him like this at close range as he's trying to stop his boat. He fired at 8 rounds. Different reports as to how many actually struck him. So this is because he was angry with his wife and him having an affair. That's her. She looks a little Photoshop to me. She's got a big old head on her. But you might notice this look, this kind of shape that she makes. Anybody know what kind of that shape is referred to as? Anybody ever hear of a Gibson girl? Oh, yeah. The Gibson. Who was the Gibson girl? Anybody know? Evelyn Nesbitt, the girl in the red velvet swing, who a couple of years before this had married a fellow named Harry K. Thaw of Pittsburgh. Evelyn was from New Kensington or Canning, up there outside of Pittsburgh, but had moved to Pittsburgh. She was a Pittsburgher too. And she was a Gibson girl, and Harry K. Thaw got upset with a man who she had previously had dealings with named Stanford White. And at the top of the building that White had designed, called Madison Square Garden, on the rooftop theater up there, while a musical number was going on called I Have Loved a Million Girls, shot him in the face, dead. And if you've ever seen the movie or read the book Ragtime, that's what that book is built around, is that particular incident. This was one of the trials of the century at the time, as was this. This was front page news in the New York Times for a year, almost a year. Okay? So that's her. That's what all the fuss was about. I don't get it. But maybe she didn't photograph well. Mrs. Annis said none of this ever happened. There was no affair. Now, Mrs. Annis was 6 feet tall and, as they point out, proportioned. You don't know what that means. 6 feet tall and proportioned. I did have a picture of her before. I don't know why I took it out, but she has great big giant hands just like Custer. She claimed that TJ actually, during the shooting, came up and put his pistol in her back and said, "You move, you get it too." That's what she said. She said this didn't happen. She said this is all a story made up by TJ because he had been jilted by Claudia before TJ married her. And this was his way of getting back. The officer at the base, at the fort, who was asked to keep Annis off of the grounds, said that he thought Annis was a nice guy. He thought Junior was a nice guy. He thought Claudia was nice, and he pointedly said that he's not going to say anything about TJ. He's not going to make any comment at all about TJ. Now, what happened when TJ got home is they separated. as soon as he got home. He filed for divorce. He named Annis as the co-respondent, kept the children, 2 of them, and they lived with him and his parents at Fort Hancock in Sandy Hook, New Jersey. I don't have a picture there yet. At Sandy Hook, New Jersey. She moved to Massachusetts. Claudia signed, now this sounds familiar, tell me if it sounds familiar. She signed a confession about the affair. She said later it was coerced by the general, Junior, and TJ. But she did sign a confession. So they have her sign a confession first to say, I did have this affair. Sound familiar to anybody yet? Okay, it might, a couple minutes. This is TJ and Junior. This is a detective. He got his hand handcuffed. When the shooting was over, Junior and TJ took a cab. I'm sorry. After the shooting was over, he sat down. Junior sat down on a park bench, and said, put his gun down, and TJ emptied his gun first and dumped the bullets and said, "Look, see, I haven't fired anything. Look, here's 6. It was a revolver." Wanted to make sure everybody knew he didn't do nothing. He also mentioned to somebody, I tried to talk him out of this. He did. So he sat on the bench and waited for police. Later, he sent a telegram to his father at Fort Hancock, as they were living with him, the old man and the old lady. And this was his deeply explanatory telegram. Have shot Annis and being taken to the Flushing police station. Must have figured his dad would understand exactly what was going on. Right? So he has his wife sign a confession, and he kills her paramour. Now does it sound familiar? No?
Sickles?
Ah! Brothers offered psychiatric defenses.
Oh.
Junior claimed dementia americana, which was a real thing. A derangement of American husbands only, Canadians did not allow, that lasted just long enough for them to kill their wives' lovers. Just that long. TJ had an even better defense. He claimed, I can't pronounce it, foil, F-O-I-L-E, foil ado, or dual insanities. Now listen closely to this one. In which one man's temporary insanity becomes momentarily contagious. Now this is cool because they tried them separately. And I ain't tried them separately, they tried TJ first. Also for a time, the possibility of charging the brothers with carrying concealed weapons was considered. So you don't think of that in 1908 as carrying a concealed weapon being a crime, but this was in Long Island, which I don't know if that was a borough at that time or separate. Yeah. But, these are the officers' quarters at Fort Hancock today. Yes. 2 minutes. Okay, I gotta move fast. Old man TJ, New York Times, I believe, had this photograph taken. This was during the trial. Just to let you know what a big deal it was. There's TJ later. This is the jury. He took a picture of the jury. No women, but there is one Native American on. Okay, what happened? TJ got off. They said you temporarily caught insanity from your brother. Then they tried Junior, and he didn't get it. So not only did TJ catch insanity from his brother, but he caught insanity from his brother who didn't have the insanity. So Junior gets 8 to 16 years at Ossining, New York's famous Sing Sing Penitentiary. TJ was acquitted. The public was outraged. Things had changed since the 1850s. They weren't real happy with this. They didn't think TJ should have got off, and they didn't think that Junior should have got such a light sentence. And it escalated from that. Because May 17th, 1909, he's sentenced to 8 to 16 years at Sing Sing. July 1909, transferred from the 62nd Coast Artillery to the 30th. He's in jail. January 31st, 1911, as a result of the outcry 18 months earlier, why is he still in the Army? They dropped him. August 26, 1911, his absolute divorce was granted. As junior. He got the kids. September 31st, 1911, the general had been petitioning New York governors for pardon for a long time. They had served 1 year, so he was on his third governor, and he finally got a pardon from that guy, who is Governor John Alden Dix. Dix. And if you're wondering, yes, he is the nephew of General John, I think it's Adams Dix, who was co-author of the Dix Hill cartel, prisoner exchange cartel. Right there.
The Fort Dix?
He's the Fort Dix. Yeah. Not him. Interestingly enough, this Dix, on April 20th, 1912, he had a ticket to go to England on the Titanic. He didn't go. I don't know if he got a refund or not. So what's the point of all this? Well, other than to show you why I never get anything done. The question is, you can ask yourself, were the exaggerations or misstatements in Haynes's 1911 article simply faulty memory? Or was there other motivation? Perhaps appealing to sympathy to win a pardon for his son. Remember, it came out in August 1911, which means he had probably written it several months before that, while he's trying to get a pardon. So he's mentioning Custer, Lincoln, Edmund Kirby, and who else was in there? The 4th Virginia Cavalry that didn't exist. Anyway, that's how I tied this all into the war.